It's a strange procession for boxes. A slightly solemn unboxing. But here, we don't open simple boxes, we prefer to talk about gift set.
These are crocodile pieces, it's one of the most beautiful lots, so the most expensive bags.
From 4 to 6,000 euro for the basics, up to 40,000 for the rarest. The price of vintage bags can reach heights. It took several months to Cyril Piggott and his team to bring all these objects together. Leather goods, silk scarves, accessories. Twice a year, they organize an auction around a single brand. Hermes.
The porte carreaux, which is a big Hermes classic, which was originally used to put his boots, his bombshell and his whip to go hunting.
Hermes, it is enough to mention this name to get shoppers in a hurry. In the auction room in Paris, but also on the phone in the four corners of the world.
22,000. We are at 22,000.
As expected, prices are soaring.
It's yours, sold for 41,000. Wonderful.
There will even be a record at 54,000 euros that evening, for a bag. It may seem crazy, but for these diehards, we don't just buy a scarf or a bag, we buy a lot more.
The brand is magical, just the word Hermes.
The luxury, the beauty, grace, elegance.
Every some goods, they have all history. And I think Hermes is like more really historical thing I can collect or I can have.
H is for Hermes. We have almost all already crossed this monogram, on the street, on the famous orange bags. But how many have already crossed the door of one of these stores? And who knows that behind the leather and nail polish hides a family, who has ruled the brand for 180 years? Because Hermes is an exception. In the luxury sector, it is one of the latest family businesses.
Yes, we know each other.
The other French dynasties, sold willingly, or by force. But will the Hermes resist for so long? Because for the past year, they have been facing an offensive of a hyper-powerful luxury group LVMH, led by Bernard Arnault. But to investigate this bloodline, its history, it's like wanting to open a canned food with a plastic knife. The Hermes cultivate discretion and they hate talking to the media, even more in front of a camera. So we had to wait before approaching the heirs, and surround them with lawyers, journalists, economists, or novelists, to tell the story of the family saga that unfolds behind the porch of the famous saddle maker. A meeting is set, located in Pantin, in the suburbs of Paris. It's on this small street, in the shelter of a discreet building, that Hermes installed the most precious thing it has, its workshops. Surprisingly, the management agreed to open its doors. Guillaume Dessaines oversees all leather production. The man likes to talk about the finishes of these bags and in particular the famous dot, who sewed saddle the reputation of the house.
It's this double needle seam, threaded by hand of course, with a linen thread, which gives it its rigidity. Hence the quality of the Hermes product. The quality of Hermes that is lived over time.
Quality. An obsession for this brand that prides itself on doing what is best and not just in leather. Because Hermes is also perfumes and scarves. The famous square, a few grams of silk sold all over the world. Hermes is a luxury multinational brand present in 50 countries. The brand is worth 24 billion euros on the stock market, that's 8 times the economic weight of Peugeot. But Guillaume Dessaines is not just the leader of this empire. He is an heir, member of the 6th Hermes generation. It is a particularity of the company. It is a family business.
Our belief is that this company owes its success to the fact that it is a family business. And thanks to this continuity in the long-term strategy, which is absolutely essential for the success of the house.
A group built on blood relations. A fierce desire of the founders for nearly 2 centuries. The year is 1837. Thierry Hermès, a German craftsman, arrives in Paris and opens a modest workshop harnesses and saddles. And very quickly, he and his son understand that in order to succeed, you have to target the wealthiest clientele. They decide to place themselves in the heart of one of the most exclusive neighborhoods, in Haussmann's Paris. A few blocks from the Élysée Palace, between the Promenade des Champs and the new Opéra Garnier. 24 Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré. The store became a go-to destination. And the brand passed on from father to son for 90 years. Except that in 1930, the manager at the time, Émile Hermès, only had daughters. Worried that the company will cease to exist, he gives the keys to the company to his 3 sons-in-law. 3 branches still at power today. The Puch, the Dumas, and the Guérins. Jan Curlau décortiques for years the DNA of the great industrial French dynasties, and for him, the patriarch at the time, wanted to preserve the brand by teaching these newcomers all the workings of the company.
When you are a son-in-law in the Hermes family, from the outset, we have a duty of excellence. He made them go through all the jobs in the home, he taught them the job, what the house was doing, and then he listened to them when he saw that they were, both capable of absolute ingenuity.
At the helm of the company, the 3 sons-in-law are going to prosper the business and accelerate its transformation. After luggage with the arrival of the car, they are developing ready-to-wear clothing. They make way for hunting gear, horse riding wear, and ski wear. But the one who actually goes get the mark off the mark, it's a young 30-something who takes the reins of the company in 1978. Jean-Louis Dumas, a descendant of the 5th generation, a savvy businessman who does not hesitate to put on stage, like here in this report, a story of making people talk from the Rue du Faubourg Saint-Honoré. Jean-Louis Dumas has a hunch. We need to transform the family SME into a global group.
Come in, come in. It's an exit, but go in.
Bertrand Puch, his cousin, remembers of their beginnings together. It was at the end of the 70s, and at the time, the strategy was already very clear.
It was necessary that, on site, in every corner of the world, people want Hermes and want to import Hermes products. And so, there was a lot of work, Hermes store development across the world.
In 15 years, Jean-Louis Dumas opened 132 stores around the world. And he has another idea: relaunch a flagship brand product, the Quart de Soir. Sales are booming. Customers are in a hurry to reach the shelves. Their husbands in their wake. And the more expensive it is, the more it sells.
They cleverly convinced the customer that the price didn't matter. And in the same way, we explain to you that when you want a €6,800 bag, you'll have to wait 6 months for it, since the list orders are full.
The result, Jean-Louis Dumas and his family are enriching themselves considerably. A family that until now was an asset, but who could very quickly become an obstacle. Because while the business share was increasing, so were the heirs. It eventually reached nearly 70 heirs.
The breakup of the company is a danger permanent for any business which is a family one. It's not a question of the generation that passes, but a question of the extent of the family.
The risk is that cousins are blurring, and so that the case be controlled one day by someone outside the clan. So Jean-Louis Dumas is going to try to protect the business. He wants the family to not be able to ever lose power. He asks Philippe Dynasty and his lawyer to draft the new statutes.
It is a society whose statutes are only family members can be combined. It is the family that controls the management of the company.
So Jean-Louis Dumas is certain for locking things down. Intoxicated by success, he will then take Hermes on board on unknown terrain, take a turn that some people will regret many years later. (1993), the Hermes make a historic decision. They go public.
We are completely self-financed, but maybe at some point, we would be happy to appeal to the market.
20% of the capital is therefore open to the public. It's the first time that foreigners share part of the family heritage. But nobody sees anything but a threat hover over the carriage. Now all members of the family are free to sell their shares, whenever they want. Stéphane Silvestre is aware of that risk. He's a lawyer. For him, Hermes does not have enough locked things up before going public.
The interest of the stock market. It is precisely to be able to sell shares at any time. It is indeed not an absolute way to lock in the capital of a company.
And that is exactly what happened. A lot of people sold their shares just to get a taste of the luxury lifestyle, while others did it to pay their taxes.
At the beginning, for every franc and euro earned, I had to pay €2.20 in tax to the authorities. I had to pay up, since I didn't have the funds to do so. I sold capital to fulfill my duties as a citizen.
As a result, in the years that followed, nearly 10% more was deducted from the family wallet. Heirs sold their shares at the same time where a businessman was on the hunt. Bernard Arnault, a figure that has been transforming the luxury sector since the beginning of the 90s. Nothing escapes him. Wine, jewelry, fashion, millions of dollars, big names. French luxury is falling into his purse, in the LVMH empire.
He is someone who knows how to build a brand portfolio like no one else, who knows how to maintain them and make them bear fruit, who knows how to use marketing like no one else. And besides that, he hesitates at no cost. On this subject, he has no qualms.
Is it out of naivety? Snobbery? In any case, Hermes decides to ignore this competition, refusing to believe that the threat of a takeover could one day reach them. But overconfidence is never good, and the family is going to learn it the hard way. It was a year ago, in 2010, which had already started badly. May 2010, after a long illness, Jean-Louis Dumas passes away. To the tune of jazz fanfare, Hermes buries his captain. But no one in the family is ready to take over the reins of the company. The brand is weakened, and it is going to have to fight the most important battle in its history. It was October 23, 2010. Bertrand Puch, the spokesperson of the family, remembers vividly the declaration of war. At 10 a.m., his cell phone rings.
Bertrand Puch, hello, this is Bernard Arnault. Got your number from your sister on the phone. I wanted to tell you that there are stocks for sale. We bought some. I said, yes, fine.
Bertrand Pusch still thinks that Bernard Arnault just bought a handful of actions. But 2 hours later, the press release comes out. LVMH publicly announces that it owns nearly 15% of Hermes.
So we were very impressed by what I am calling this extreme delicacy. So it started off very well.
15% overnight, out of nowhere, without anyone suspecting anything. Then, 3 days later, another press release, 17%. The news is doing the rounds in the press all the way to the United States. The market is blown away.
Nobody understood over the weekend. Everyone tried to understand the way it was do this operation. When you enter the capital of a listed company, you have to declare your acquisition, whether it's 5%, 10% or 15%. They acquired 14.5 without declaring it.
So how did Bernard Arnault do it? He has just finished an operation started 2 years earlier. A very discreet approach that allowed not to arouse suspicion. Back in 2008, in the middle of the stock market crisis, thousands of shares were being sold on the market. Among them, Hermes. Bernard Arnault sees it as an opportunity to make a good deal. But to limit the risks, if the crisis persists, it will act in 2 stages. LVMH does not buy Hermes shares on the stock exchange directly. He instead signs contracts with 3 banks. They are the ones who buy the securities for him on the market. After 2 years, he can recover his shares or not, against a commission to the banks. And if the price has risen again, it is fined at the head of a nice sum.
It's a sublime poker game. It was very well played.
Because the bet is winning. In 2 years, the share price literally went through the roof. As a result, Bernard Arnault did a very nice financial transaction, while winning 17% of the capital of Hermes, without anyone noticing anything. As soon as the announcement was made, the Hermes clan started preparing for a long battle.
We say to ourselves anyway, he did not get to this by chance, he has a plan. So let's get started. Even if you think about it, what could his plan be like?
To put their cards on the table, both parties meet discreetly, in this Parisian hotel. A cold interview. Barely 20 minutes. Hermes asks Bernard Arnault to resell, the businessman refuses. The Hermes family is in shock. For its Grandberger's handicrafts, LVMH is a new rich man and that marriage is not an option.
It's absolutely incredible. There's someone in my garden. What are they doing there? They're not supposed to be there.
It's not even about money. We are from another world, and we don't have the same values.
On Bernard Arnault's side, the defense is clear. This is a peaceful operation. He is not asking to take power. In the world of fashion, some people are rising up. For them, it was simply enough that Hermes does not go on the stock market.
If you want to have this heritage side family, national treasure, then you have to be at 100% owner of his business otherwise. I'm going to say something very vulgar. How to fuck while staying a virgin, that doesn't work.
Hard to play virgins frightened therefore, when you took advantage of the stock market for years. And for the creator, Bernard Arnault, do not threaten in any way the know-how of the brand.
But nothing is going to happen to them. That is where they are wrong. It's a kind of fear of something they don't know. He's a 100% businessman, but that doesn't make business fall by doing industrial stuff. Not to be confused with Bernard Tapie. It's not quite the same.
According to our information, LVMH would have even proposed to Hermes to sign a contract of trust excluding any TAA. But nothing helps. Heirs feel directly threatened. They want to protect their heritage and what it gives them every year. So they organize the response. The family has just decided to invest after 20 years, more than 50% of its capital in a new society. With very strict operating rules.
In the statutes, there is the obligation for each member, who wore his titles to the new society, to sell as a matter of priority and without no discussion possible, the titles to another family member. It will be he who will have the right to observe on the sale of all titles.
Now impossible to sell on the market each on its own. And therefore to allow Bernard Arnault to become a majority. At least for now. If on the side of the owners of Hermes, the battle seems to have been won, most observers are much less confident.
There is no impregnable fortress. The walls are just right, thanks to this holding company, much higher.
We'll have to see how it works out long term. We'll see who will one day fall and who will sell.
I don't think this case is over with yet, because I believe that Mr. Arnault is a completionist, not a man of half successes or half failures.
And Bernard Arnault is a patient man. The businessman is now in the square. Him or his children. With big resources to buy shares, if by chance the situation was about to change. In this war of attrition, will Hermes lose on its land, the one that the clan leaders have always erected as a family virtue? The time